Wait, the only problem with Andy, what do I say?
Take
Golly.
two.
The only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite non-alcoholic beverage, and enjoy as two filmmakers from Northeastern Ohio regale you with stories, reviews, and hijinks on The Only Problem.
Da, 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 da. Were you reading that? I saw your eyes
No,
going back and
that's
forth. It
just
looked
how
like it
I
was a cue
think.
card. Oh, okay. I really thought you came prepared and had like a
Nope.
cue card up or something.
No, I did not. I noticed that ever since the podcast that the cult group protects. We talked about that last
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um, no, 2 episodes ago. My bad.
Hmm.
And it's the way I think, and I don't know why. It's a weird tick of mine that like my eyes will go back and forth
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I'm reading when I'm thinking. For those at home paying attention to my eyeballs, that's I mean, no one's watching the show because we're not uploading video, but that's what was happening as I said that, as I was spitballing, I was riffing, as the kids say.
Yeah.
But I'm Andy Matzke,
I'm Santino Vitale.
and we are here today to talk about the 2025 film Weapons, which,
Weapons.
if you're familiar with the show, you know that typically we talk about a movie that only one of us hasn't seen before. But this week, already 3 episodes in, we're doing something special. This week, we're talking about a movie that neither of us had seen prior to last week. This is our first time talking about this movie together is on this show. And I'm so excited to talk
Yeah.
about Weapons. Who's the director?
Zach Cregger I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Cregger. I want to say he was like I don't know much about his background. He directed Barbarian, which was interesting from a couple years ago.
And I know nothing about that movie. And that's the only other movie people talk about him with is The Barbarian. And I don't know a thing about it. He was a part of The Whitest Kids You Know.
That's what it was. I couldn't
And
remember.
and I only know that because I Googled him earlier in the week. And I only know like one or two Whitest Kids You Know bits. Before we get too far in this episode, I thought it would probably be helpful because this is like a contemporary movie
Hmm.
to say there's going to be spoilers.
Massive spoilers.
Like we're not going to waste a second
No.
trying not to spoil this movie. I also will say, because I feel obligated to say a thing, this is probably one of the more like not kosher movies we'll talk about on the show. It's probably around there. It's probably our first one. So if you're
Not
listening to this,
kosher.
you're an adult. Make your own decisions about the movies you're going to see.
Yeah.
But Weapons is a really good movie and really a really interesting movie. So that's why I've said, like, we're going to talk about spoilers. And if you have to ask a parent before going and seeing the movie, you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
be going and seeing this type of movie. But if you're an adult, go see Weapons right now would probably be my immediate thing. So pause the episode, come back once you've seen Weapons, and then come enjoy us for this part of the show. Okay, now that
Yeah,
they've
there we
done
go.
that, we are
Are they back? Have they
yeah,
come back?
welcome
Um,
back. Or yeah. So
yeah.
I have to start. I actually kind of wrote some notes for this week's
Oh,
episode
excellent. Excellent.
because I mean they're kind of bullet points of my thought process with
Mhm.
this. But I want to start with a question for you, which is how much about this movie did you know before going into it?
The trailer. That was
Okay.
it. I didn't read anything about it. I didn't. A friend of mine in LA had gone and watched it like a week before. Like he watched it when it came out, and he texted me. He said, "You have to see Weapons, and we have to talk about it." I was like, "Okay." And so I went to see it last Wednesday, or no, last Thursday, and you saw it Friday, right? Like I texted you
Something like that. Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
texted
Because
you
you,
when the movie was over, and I'm like, "You have to see this." And then you texted back and you're like, all right. And then the next day at like 6:45, you sent me a
yeah.
picture of the ticket. So, and then you texted me when it was over too. And you were like, the lady in front of us hated it.
Yeah. So yeah, the quote was, and the quote is paraphrasing that was the worst effing movie ever. Like the second it was done, it was
Hmm.
she like got up and was like, worst movie ever. And I was, and we'll get to what I was like.
Hmm.
We'll set that up.
Sure.
We'll get to what I was like. But the reason I ask you is I realized that it was our conversation, and I think I'd only seen like TV spots for it.
Not
And
even a full
maybe
trailer?
I don't think so,
Wow.
because I think I heard Josh Brolin talk about this on a podcast. I think it was
Hmm.
Theo Vaughn. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And it made it sound way more political, at least in my like casual listening. Cause I was listening while I was at work and I
Hmm.
wasn't fully listening. It was more like, let's get to other Josh Brolin things besides your new movie.
Right.
And I'm just because, I mean, whatever. But it was like, so I was sitting there, and this is kind of why I ask you. I was sitting there in the theater, and it had kind of been in my head earlier in the day, before the movie started, when the trailers were going on, that I realized it was like a horror movie. And
Hmm.
I know there's been some debate on like it's a horror thriller and like
Yeah.
which side it falls to. Immediately, I kind of want to jump on the it is 100% a horror movie, and maybe not 100% because it's horror thriller. But to
Hmm.
those who are like it's more of a thriller, I don't know how a horror thriller could be any more a horror movie
Yeah, I don't know.
than what
I
this
fall on
is.
the other side of the fence because I watched it and after it was done, I was like, yeah, that was pretty much a thriller. It was like a thriller mystery. It has horror elements. I don't think I'd call it outright horror though. At
I
least
just
not by
don't.
my estimation.
I think like structurally it is, but
Hmm.
it is so much so from a viewer standpoint of
Hmm.
like your interaction with the movie, it's a horror movie. It's kind
Right.
of my argument. And part of this, and maybe this is skipping ahead in my random notes I wrote down, this was the loudest theater I think I've ever heard during a movie
Right.
because everybody was freaking out the
Oh
entire
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like, and like to be fair, it very well might be the first one of the first like horror movies I've seen in the theater. So like, but it was constant
Hmm.
during. I don't know what was up with this crowd, but it was like,
That's a typical horror movie crowd.
yeah, and it was, but it was. I think, and that part of it goes into this as well. You told me this movie wasn't gory, which I strongly want to push back on. You said the gore's not that bad.
It's
You
really
said
not
maybe
that bad.
I could find your exact quote, and I want to
Hmm.
call you out on that because I think you're crazy. If like I get this is not Tom Savini like
Right.
Bloodfest
Yeah,
movie.
that's my gauge is like for
Yeah,
gore.
and I get that it's not like wildly overblown,
Hmm.
but like I was there with a friend,
Hmm.
and that friend frequently was like kind of looking away. And I mean, there's even parts where I was like, okay, I don't know if I need to, we're far enough in. I don't know if I need to see all that because like you see a guy like get his face caved in
Yeah, but you don't
by
actually see it.
that. You don't actually see it. And we can
Right.
get to like how that you
Hmm.
see a guy get run over and the aftermath of
At
that.
a distance, yeah.
I mean, not from a distance. What after they show like he
Well,
gets hit
yeah,
from a
but
distance.
it's short.
Yeah, and
This is the point that I want to make really quickly, though, is that
you're
when
like it's not that bad, and
it's really not,
it's like oh my god.
it's not, is that all the flashes of gore are exactly that. They're flashes. And you see, the movie, I'm gonna do that dumb filmmaker thing where I like plug a movie that I worked on, but like when I did the Mortuary Collection, because I did that whole movie. I did not do that whole movie. That was Ryan Spindell, but I worked on the movie. And when that movie came out, I was keeping careful track of like all the new reviews for it and watching it, and I was really happy that it was doing well. And people said the same thing about that one. They're like, "Oh, it's so gory," and I'm like, "Mm-mm." There's this thing that very skilled horror filmmakers do, and it tricks your mind into thinking something's more than it is. And here's what happens because they do the same thing. Ryan did the same thing in the Mortuary Collection that this movie does. They build you up to a moment, and then they mostly don't show you what's happening. So, like in the case of the guy getting his head caved in, you're really only kind of seeing what's happening, but you're not really seeing what's happening. But you're
Yeah,
hearing the sound and you're building up to it. And then what they
and yeah,
do is they cut away from it. And then you think, okay, they had the decency not to show me that. And then the minute you think you're safe, they cut back to it, but for like a second. And it's so shocking because you weren't expecting it that it sears it into your mind. And so the movie feels gorier than it is. And they do that all throughout Weapons. Every time you think you're safe, they'll cut to it really quickly. And you're like, ah, crap. And it burns it in there more than if they just show you the whole act. Because Mortuary Collection did the same thing. And I remember reading one review that was like, this is just this blood-soaked movie. And like, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the Mortuary Collection, a guy's wiener explodes because he's giving birth out the front. And the funny thing is, I know exactly how long that shot is on screen because I worked on the movie, and it's 17 frames. It's 17 frames of this thing expanding before you hear the pop. That's all that it's on screen for. And yet in the review, they wrote like a paragraph about exploding genitalia and how disgusting this is. I'm like, it's 17 frames. It's not
That's
even a full
less.
second.
Yeah, that's less than a second for
Yeah.
those of you playing along at home. That is hilarious. That is, I mean, and I think it is like a matter of, I don't want to say it's just a matter of opinion, but and it's well done. That's the other thing. Is like I and maybe my initial like poking fun, like it is something different than just a slasher gore
yeah.
fest
Mhm.
thing. And it's not like I felt betrayed by that, right? Like that I thought there's gonna be no gore and then it was
Right.
that. But it is this like very intentionally crafted thing, and the whole movie's that. So maybe to back it up some,
Yeah, for everyone who's like in a tailspin now after exploding genitalia. That's
yeah,
not in this movie, by the way,
that's a
folks.
different
It's a
movie.
different
If you
movie.
were, don't worry. Um, it, I think the beginning of this movie, it did something that I just love when a movie does, which is it evokes this feeling.
Hmm.
And I've been trying to put it into words, and I'm bad at putting, hey guys, I'm bad at putting my feelings into words, but it's this feeling of what am I watching that's good? That's not like, oh no, this is bad. But and it's specifically, it's the way it starts is like, it was like, okay, I'm interested because it's that narration, which is in the trailer, which
Yeah.
apparently I never watched, but still really wanted to go see this movie.
Hmm.
It's that creepy narration and kind of this like overview. And then that needle drop happens,
Hmm.
and it's the slow-mo shots of the kids with like the doll. And and I am almost getting goosebumps now because it was like, what am I about to watch? Like, what am I in for? And we talked about it some with The Mummy. Like, I think
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for a good opening for a movie,
Oh,
aren't we
absolutely.
all?
Hmm.
But like, this was literally like, I'm in the hands of whoever did that for the
Hmm.
next hour and 50 minutes. And I'm in. I am I am in. They did that and it was, I mean, it was just perfect. Like
Hmm.
perfect like build up of this. Like showing like for a movie that doesn't show a lot.
Right.
They showed like I mean it's just the setup of the movie too, but they show all of that and it's just so well done. It is just so interesting. And like I was so I was so excited from that point on because like I knew it had been getting good reviews. I knew you liked it, and I was like, "This is probably gonna be pretty good." But from there, I was like, "I'm in."
Hmm. Well, and you bring up a great point, which I think we actually, because I haven't gone back and listened to. After I say words, I don't listen to myself again
You're
because
not a
I,
devoted fan of the
I'm not a
podcast,
devoted fan.
like I am.
Right, right. Folks, Andy goes back and listens to us on repeat, and then
And
and cackles, howls with laughter at
I
our.
I love it. I love it.
But I think we mentioned something about this when we talked about the mummy, because I think you just said that was that when the thing first comes on, the lights go down, and the movie starts. When you feel that you were in, my cat sees something out the window. Go get it.
Wait, what, Santino?
My cat's going after something outside. There's a tree by my window, and I think, oh, it's a squirrel. Okay. He thinks he's tough stuff. Anyway, so the movie starts, and when a movie can grab you that quickly, like you said, you know that you're in good hands. And so now, however much time is about to pass, it can still get screwed up. Like anybody can screw up an excellent opening. I've seen it happen. But generally speaking, movies that start really well usually hold me for the whole time. And it's usually a very good sign that whoever's behind the camera knows exactly what they're doing. And this movie starts, and like you said, I think the great part about this one is the mystery, right? Because this one starts, and for you, you didn't even see the trailer. So I kind of wish I could have seen this thing through from your perspective. To go into a movie completely blind is so fantastic because you really can just kind of go, it's a blank slate, right? Like you don't even 100% know what the genre is at this point. So it can do anything. And that's a great place to be in, which is a problem I have with modern marketing is they give you these 3-minute trailers. And I'm not joking, like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 2 minutes and 50 is the average trailer length. And they give you these trailers that show you the whole thing. And it's like, well, I've seen every beat of the movie. I know the genre. I can predict what's going to happen. I saw the person like get pulled away from the lens really quickly, like they all do in every Conjuring movie ever. And it's like, okay, so there's no awe, there's no wonder, there's no mystery or investment. So going in cold was a big boon for this particular film because I didn't really have that feeling of, oh, what's going on until about 15, 20 minutes into the movie because I already knew, like, okay, the kids all got the little propeller arms, they Naruto runned out of there, and runned is the proper past tense of the verb. They runned it out, and
They runned right out
they
of the
runned right
house.
out of the house. Where did they go? I
That's the
don't
movie.
know.
Yeah. So for those who maybe don't care to watch the movie, that's the setup of the movie.
Mhm.
Is a whole class of kids from
Except
this
one
elementary
kid.
school, except for one kid, go missing in the middle of the night. And they go missing by just getting up and running out of their houses.
Hmm. And that one kid, oddly enough, is the key to the whole thing, which you start to get some suspicion toward the end, and we'll save that for a little bit. We won't like get into that yet, but
Yeah.
like by an hour and a half in, you start going, oh, wait a minute. Something actually by not even an hour and a half. I'm trying to think. When she goes to the house
I
and there's
think
like
like
papers on the
20
window.
minutes. I think like 20 or
20,
30
30,
minutes
yeah.
you're in the movie and it's like something's up with this and the movie
Hmm.
distracts you enough then in the meantime
Yeah.
that by the time you get back to it, I mean, or maybe even towards the end of what's her name? The girl's name, her section of the movie. It's by the time you get to the end of that,
Yeah. I can't think of what her
you're
name
like,
is,
what the
but
what is happening
Julia
now?
Garner.
What's what's so interesting to me, and I knew this about the movie, was
Hmm.
that it told the story through different perspectives.
Which is really cool.
And I heard that in a
Hmm.
very spoiler-free review. But the way it did it, the way it was so committed to it,
Hmm.
oh my goodness, that makes the movie
Hmm.
for me, at least. Like it is so committed to this different perspective thing. It's incredible. Like down to the fact they don't really reuse shots
Hmm.
from the overlap. It's like different movies.
It's
Or like,
totally different coverage
and
just
it's
for that.
committed to that. Like,
Hmm.
oh, it made me, and it's all beautifully shot. It's
Hmm.
all gorgeous. And then and the way it ties in those little threads of like detail, like his finger having a bandage on it,
Hmm.
like Alden Ehrenreit's character, the truck at the um, liquor store, all these things just flow together into one really interesting story. It's just, yeah. We'll talk about like the way this movie ends
Hmm.
towards the end of this. I want to make sure we do that.
Yeah.
But it's just, and I want to give you a chance to talk about this because I'm just going, and then there's another thing, and this guy
Yeah.
does that, and
No, it
I
is.
want
It's
to,
fantastic.
yeah, I will say, because I set this up earlier, and I do this bad thing where I just set things up for later in podcasts and never bring them up again. I was left
Hmm.
speechless at the end of this movie. Like just and saying speechless can really mean like so much, but that is a literal description of what happened. I was just like, the lady was like worst effing movie ever, and I was
Hmm.
just like, I think I just saw something like really, really good.
Yeah. And that's the variety of human thought right there.
Yeah.
Same theater, two different people. One loved it, the other one was like, ah,
Yeah.
screw this.
Like a seat apart. Like she was the lady an
Hmm.
aisle down, like caddy corner.
Right.
And I was like, I think It was so we talk about Nope probably every other episode of the show.
Yes.
When I left the theater for Nope, I think I have a video of it. I think I have a video of me and Mark that we might have sent you that is us being like, we just saw this movie and it was incredible. Oh my goodness. This is like a classic. Like, I think I just watched a cult classic movie. And like, that was the feeling while watching Nope of like, oh my goodness, this went a totally different way than I thought. This is so unique. It wasn't quite there for me. It wasn't send a video to all my friends worthy of I just saw a thing. But I was just like, I just watched something really good. Really, I mean, pretty original.
Yeah.
And really like engaging in as a new movie in 2025. Like that was just really good. And I don't know about you, but it was like this weird thing of like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I have my issues with this movie that I think is part of what like really robs me from like a full, like from fully going into like, oh my goodness, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was this like, it was such a enjoyable experience to watch that movie and so engaging. Like, so like there was not really a scene where it was like, okay, let's get this over, but like so engaging and really like you have to pay attention and did many things that I like. It's very much a show don't tell movie, and I'm all for that. The fact they explain verbally pretty much nothing in this movie, I am all for. Like, and the twist of it's this witch lady was like, okay, this is really cool. And part of what I'm confused, and maybe like this can be the end of my diatribe and turning it over to you, is I thought this movie was going to be a lot more political. And even in the first
podcast.
Well, partially, but even because of like the first, I don't know, like 10 minutes of the movie is very much and maybe like genuine trigger warning to be nice. Like it very much like parallels school shootings.
That's the whole point of the thing. Yeah.
That is the whole point of the thing. But then because I'm an idiot, I don't understand how that then relates to the rest of the movie.
It doesn't.
And that
was a jumping off point. It was like, a jumping off point.
It's a jumping off point where it's this really good one-to-one and almost like what Nope does with like, and this is how we talk about movies with like, it's an all black family owning a business. And you're kind of like, oh, this is going to be the whole movie. But then it's not the movie like at all. It's just like this jumping off, kind of get some traction with the movie, maybe even. But like, and then it doesn't, except there's like, and then a gun in the sky in a dream. But then it doesn't, because it's this witch lady, which maybe that's part of it is right. Like the answer is never satisfying, even in this weird way of like, you can be told what caused it and you don't know. But I also hate when people have to like film bro their way into understanding of movies. So this is where
ending
my
of weapons
stops.
Explained. Ending of Lighthouse explained. Everything is ending explained.
Ending of Inception for nerds.
Well, seriously though, I've seen like ending of like, insert blank movie name here of like simple movies. And what it is people are just on their phones and they're really not watching the movie. They're watching the movie passively, so they don't know what happened, and then they have to like Google what happened because they weren't watching the movie. So an interesting parallel to what you're talking about here when it comes to the whole guns thing is I heard, and I both heard and kind of was formulating in my head this idea that we get this narration at the beginning. And this is as much I am not. How many sentences can I start? Back when I was a kid, one time, anyway, I knew a guy.
If I ever told you.
Consider this. If you're ever going to buy a house. Anyway, the thing that you'll know about me that the viewers don't.
sorry. It was the like build up to one more. Starting.
I have to actually preface the preface.
Santino's actual sentence starts at timestamp.
Yeah, timestamp. in your time zone. The thing that you'll know about me that the audience doesn't is that I really am not a big fan of analysis when it comes to film analysis, and I despise with a passion YouTube film bros who come on. They're like, really, this movie is like, it's really a commentary on the socio-political spheres of what it is to be an Asian in America back in. I'm like, no, that's not what the movie's about. It's literally just about like, it's a home invasion thriller, and like you're making it more than it is, right? And so I hate analysis. However, there's an interesting angle. I like movies that can be a bit ambiguous. For instance, The Lighthouse has a very ambiguous ending. And because The Lighthouse is about two crazy people, there are about five different ways you can read what happens in the movie. One of which being that Willem Dafoe's character isn't even real, and Robert Pattinson is just nuts by himself imagining the whole thing, right? And so that's kind of cool. With weapons, I think there's a very definitive end because what you see is what you get, right? However, there is an interesting thing, and I did hear one other person say this, is that you start with and end with a narration. And the narration isn't an adult, it's a child. To your point about this having parallels to a school shooting, if you take the child as an unreliable narrator and say, okay, from a child's perspective, wish fulfillment, maybe this is a story where a school shooter came in and just killed 17 kids. But the child is telling you a story of maybe it's this witch that got these kids and they get the kids back and they're a little messed up, but overall it's kind of a happy ending as far as a horror movie is concerned, right? And because the kid even tells you at the beginning, like, if you look this up on the news, this isn't what they're going to say. But if you ask people, and it's like, or you're just making this up. Now, again, the filmmaker has not said this.
That's wild. That,
Yeah.
like, I'm a big fan of that. Like, mostly because I'm a big fan
of for the movie, though.
Yeah, it does. That's the thing, is like, it doesn't affect the movie any, but I mean, I'm a big fan of unreliable narrators in storytelling. I also like to resonate with your, like, I can't stand analysis. I told someone the other day, and they'd be fine with me saying this. I was telling somebody the other day, rabbit hole, I don't like Inception by Chris Nolan. I don't like it. That's
my dad loves the fact that you don't like it.
Yep.
He thinks that you guys are like separated at birth because of how much
we are the two people who really don't like that movie.
The two
and
thumbs
part
down.
part of it is we are the resistance against that movie. Part of it is it's a Chris Nolan movie, and most Chris Nolan movies tend to be filmed very plainly.
Yes.
And like stylistically, they're plain. And I was trying to make that point of like, visually, it's very interesting because it's Inception and there's all the crazy stuff. But it's not anything crazy visually, like stylistically. And my friend said, well, I think that's part of the point, is it's like created worlds that people are making and all that. And I said to their face, and you're part of the problem. And like, I was like, that's why I don't like Chris Nolan movies, is because his fans say stuff like that.
Right.
Love him or hate, there's no personal grievance. I love some of his movies, right? Like, you can't argue against the Dark Knight trilogy.
You can argue against the third one.
Yeah.
You can't argue against Batman Begins in the Dark Knight, but the minute Bane comes on the scene, then it all falls apart.
Yeah. And then I've seen the one movie that I really like. It's his first one, but it's not Memento. It's like the really short one.
Oh,
that
The Following?
Only film nerds have seen. I've seen The Following, and whenever I say that to most casual Chris Nolan fans, they have no clue what I'm talking about. Anyways, and I've seen Inception. I don't necessarily remember. Oh, we both don't like film analysis.
Right.
But, and to kind of tie this along, but part of what good storytelling does, and Tolkien talks about this with Lord of the Rings, is it's not as much allegory, because we all know Tolkien didn't like allegory, and it's from the same like paragraph away from when he's talking about not liking allegory. It's that stories can like capture truth, and they can connect with truth, and they can cause us to be able to interact with things. And I think that's kind of what this movie does, right? It's not an, at least I don't think, like, again, the filmmaker hasn't really spoken to this. It's not an allegory. It kind of sets, it sets itself up that way, but it's not a clear one-to-one.
No.
thing.
Although I do think the inclusion of that giant assault rifle over the house is ham-fisted if it's and pointless if it weren't meant to be something more. If it weren't
Yeah.
for that one dream sequence, I think you could write off any other parallel to school shooting. But because of that inclusion of that effect, I'd say that there is something there that he wanted to say. Whether or not he's making it all that obvious, I don't know. But
Well, and it's clearly the setup
right.
of like the movie
Hmm.
is a connection of those things. Like
Right.
it's undeniable to say it's nothing to do with that. And even
And
with
for the
like,
viewers at home, sorry, but for the viewers at home, as I pushed back on this, Andy subtly flipped me off as
did
he was
I?
as he was as he was
I
like
didn't even
picking
think of
something
it.
out from under his eye, and he's like, "Screw your opinion. That's not what I
Man,
want." He
making me overthink
disagrees.
my
No, you're
making me
fine.
overthink my hand gestures
No,
now.
you're fine. Sorry.
But it's it's clearly where the movie starts, but it's not where it ends
Right.
like at all.
Not at all.
So yeah, this movie, like it was so interesting the way they told this story. Like so interesting, and how it all kind of folds together and leaves you going like, what's going on here?
Hmm.
Who the heck is that lady walking out of that house like that? What's going on?
So I have to ask, for especially two moments. We'll get to the third moment later, but two moments specifically. So the lights go down, film comes on, you get the narration, and then you get the little kids doing their little propeller arms, they're running out, right? And you said that while that was going on, you were like, wow, this is really cool. What was your theater's reaction to the slow-mo like needle drop with the kids running out? Was it just quiet?
I think it was just quiet.
Okay.
I think there
You-
might have been some giggles.
right. Okay. I was testing the waters because our theater was especially giggly because there was a flock of 14-year-old girls behind me. And you know the ones I'm talking about. They're at that age where their necks are really long and they don't swing their arms when they walk. So they kind of all walk around like Big Bird and they constantly cackle at everything. So there's like 10 of them back there. And the minute those kids start running out of the house, the minute the kids start running out of the house, I just hear like constant. And it's funny, but it's funnier when the adults do it. It's way funnier when the adults do it. So then the second moment is Julia Garner's character is staking out the house. And we smash cut to night and she's asleep. And we get that slow camera pan over to the house, and the door of the house opens very slowly. And then the lady with the scissors starts walking out of the house, right?
And there was giggles.
Right.
And there was like a throughout the theater.
Right.
That was
So
me in that moment. But
it's all giggles as she's coming up to the car, right? And then she goes around, and then when you notice she gets in the car, the giggles stop. Did that happen in your theater?
yes,
Okay,
it
yeah.
was like, oh no.
You fell asleep with the doors unlocked.
Yeah. I think my friend who I was with was like, what's going on? What like like my grown man friend
Mhm.
was like, oh no. And we all were like, oh no.
Now,
Because you almost
this
expect her
is
to like hit the window and then
yeah,
it's just
and then she goes around and gets in the car. Now, this is my first big qualm, my quibble with the movie is this. As far as the plot hole is concerned, as far as just because of plot armor, right? Just because the plot has to happen. So we know that that woman got in the car again. Spoiler alert, at this point, if you guys are still listening and you haven't seen the movie, and I tell you this, like it's on you, right? So, spoiler alert, that was the mother of the kid who got in the car. She's under the trance, under the spell of the witch. And she gets the hair, right? Now we know after that that you need the hair in order to do the spell or tell them to kill somebody. Why is it that that the witch could put that woman under the spell to go out there with some scissors and cut hair, but not go out there with a knife and just cut her throat? You had to go and get the
yeah.
hair so that tomorrow I could tell a different guy to kill you. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the plot had to happen, and this is just a creepy moment. It doesn't ruin the movie for me. It's just I thought about it after the fact. And I was like, wait,
Yes.
why didn't she just have her do that?
I yeah, this movie has, and this is part of the problem, is
Mm.
it
The only
has
problem with this movie.
is it has plot holes that are glaring. Like
Two that I can
maybe
think of.
like technically not, because I like I'm a I'm a purist when it comes to the English language, and plot hole means a specific thing of like the
Right.
plot setting something up and not necessarily fulfilling it. So these are like kind of plot holes, but they're big enough that it's like what the heck. And the big one, and I want to know because you've said two and we've said one, and I'll
Right.
say what I think it is the fact the movie sets up Ring doorbells as a thing that exists, and then we cut later to all the kids running down streets, and nobody else was like, let's follow. And we have a scene with that house, and I guess like this is following up. There's a third one for me that's like kills me and kind of ruins the movie. Is you're telling me we see a shot of witch lady and little boy standing out front of this house, and the kids are running down the middle of the street. It's a neighborhood street, and none of those houses have Ring doorbells.
Nope.
Like we had a car chase. I think it was like technically a tractor chase a couple years back, and there was all sorts of Ring doorbell footage of that. Like those things don't auto disappear. You think like one guy would be like, "Oh look, they're all running down the street. Oh look at that weird house that no one's been to." Like that darn like in I didn't necessarily think it in the moment either.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it's like it's a plot point.
Yeah, out of the whole neighborhood, only two people had Ring doorbells.
And like and no one on that street had Ring doorbells.
Right. Well, no one. Okay, so then this is a genuine question because I don't have a Ring doorbell, and no one in my neighborhood has a Ring doorbell.
I know of a couple people who do, like in general. I probably know, and like who we've talked about it, and you don't go around talking about that.
Right. But I do know for a fact that my neighbor doesn't have one. We don't have one. The people across the street from us don't have one, and our immediate neighbors don't have one. So I don't actually know how they work. You have to ring the doorbell, or someone has to come up on the property in order for it to record, right? Like if you're running in the street, does the sensor go all the way out to the street?
You know what? Good point. Maybe not. But I mean, like, there's been stuff when there's in real life when people are going down the street. So I think it's constantly going. I don't think you have to trigger, like, it'll trigger your notifications. But I think you can set it up so it's essentially like
just
a
constant
CCTV.
security camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, see. Oh, that's a good point. I think that plot hole, or at least that anachronism or inconsistency, doesn't bother me as much as the plot armor of why didn't they just kill her when she was in the car? But that is a good point. It's a fair point.
I think the other thing that bothers me when it comes to this plot, and like, look, I love this movie, and so kind of is that no one thought that you could like to triangulate that where they ran, and that the kid's house, who's the one kid who survives, house is within that like overlap. It took Josh Brolin and the teacher.
To be fair, I get what you're saying, but to be fair, remember when the cops go, they check that house top to bottom, and the kids aren't there. So even if they did triangulate it and they were like, they had to come by this way, there was no sign of them. And the only thing that they saw were the parents, or not even the parents. I don't even think the parents were home. I don't remember if they saw the parents or not, but they talked to the aunt, quote unquote, and they talked to the kid, and that was it. And
I guess that's
searched
fair.
the house.
I guess that's fair. Hey, and I'll take it because I love this movie.
Right.
I love this movie.
Go ahead.
And my one other thing, and maybe I'll keep going for another hour, is really just that the one, I'll say it. The sex scene that's 2 seconds long is the most needless thing ever. Yeah. I will say it. Like, there is like almost from like let's approach it from like a budgetary production standpoint.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Like it's literally like a 5-second shot, if that.
Right. Well, and this is why, and I realized that when we talked about this before I told you to go see it, I was like, the clause is safe. And then I thought, well, I was like, no, it is. It's still safe. It's 3 seconds of nothing, effectively.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's like, why? Because you could literally like cut that out,
it's a moment of humor, really, because
I
it's like,
think
oh
it
yeah, did this
is.
happen? Yeah. Because the whole audience laughed the minute that happened because it's a smash cut. It's like they're not going to get together. Oh, they're getting together, and then you went away. Like that was the whole point. It was
Yeah.
just comedy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna write this down so that we don't bounce around. What did you think of like the characters in this movie and like the way it told its story? Because I babbled about it, but
I liked the way it told the story. I only really liked, not that you have to like characters in a movie, but I only really liked Brolin's character. I actually found Julia Garner's character to be incredibly annoying, and I kind of wanted her to. I kept hoping she might die, and she didn't die. I kept thinking, you can get rid of her anytime. It's fine. Like she's really not doing much in the story. She's just kind of like she's just a punching bag who also is making really bad decisions herself. So I didn't find myself really rooting for her. But that's not really the point, of course. The point is to, keep you invested in the mystery and different perspectives. Um, the junkie was pretty interesting, reminding me of a guy I used to work with. Um, and what's funny is when you go into the junkie's timeline, like from his perspective, the minute the minute you're in I'm getting confused now. The minute you're in either his perspective or the cop's perspective and you see him coming back, like in that moment when he approaches the cop, like the police station, you know that he knows where the kids are and the policeman's chasing him off. And as that chase is happening, I'm like, if you shoot this guy or like you arrest him and they don't get to find out where the kids are, this is really gonna suck. And so that's what you're expecting to happen. And by some miracle, they completely upend my expectations there because the cop gets him, but he believes him, goes to the house, and then you get that moment where then, well, he's just in the house for like 3 hours, and then he comes out and drags the guy in. I'm like, oh, well, so, and this is what I like, and you don't get this much in horror movies or thrillers, is characters actually listening and making good decisions, and then bad things still happening despite them making good decisions. So it was a great decision for the cop to listen to him. It was a great decision for the cop to go inside and it still didn't work. And so like that to me, I thought, well, this is cool. We subverted our expectations, and now there really are consequences. So now you're kind of like, well, now I really don't know what's going to happen because, and that's great when you have a movie where you can, and it's tough to do, by the way. It's really tough to do something, 100 plus years of cinema. How can we tell you a different way to, we only have three stories. So to be able to do something that an audience like actually, and especially an audience that's familiar with horror, doesn't see coming is just that was an incredible treat for me. I was very happy with that.
yeah, I like how the movie isn't afraid to make you dislike the characters.
Yeah.
I ended up hating Alden Ehrenreich's character because the movie makes you hate him,
Yeah.
right? Like he starts off as like, oh, how nice of him. And
Hmm.
then just
He's horrible.
systematically just makes him like he's essentially having a really bad day, but it's
Yeah.
his fault.
Hmm.
And you just like hate him. And then you're
Hmm.
like, but even then, this movie, I know I said I would only say a couple more negative things. It does a thing I don't like that horror movies do. And again, subjective. I don't like when horror movies do this, which is they kill off characters like way late in the movie,
Hmm.
kind of like unceremoniously. Like like Alden Ehrenreich's character dies, and it's kind of like there's a moment of like, oh no, but it's not this like emotionally shattering thing of
Yeah, but I mean that's pretty late in the movie though. That's at the end of the third act. She shoots him in the head or
yeah.
whatever.
And it's like that happens, and it does that with a couple other characters. And I'm just kind of anytime that happens, I'm like, okay, like I get
Okay,
it.
I gotta
And that's
know. Finish that, but I gotta know.
but
Like,
it's like
I just remembered a thing.
it's kind of like, okay. Like I see what you're doing.
Hmm.
And like people are gonna die. It's not like I don't like when people die in horror movies because
Hmm.
that would be I'd be such a loser. I'd never enjoy a horror movie. But it's it is this thing of okay, like I felt like this should have been a bigger moment,
Hmm.
and instead it's like overshadowed by these other things. It's also in the midst of a really weird part of the movie, if you ask me. The
Yeah,
ending, the whole third act is kind of like
it's amazing.
it's amazing.
It
It's
goes for it,
amazing.
man.
It goes for it. You're gonna ask me about a thing before I go.
Yeah. So before we get to the end, the part that really was fun for me and really cracked me up was the principal. So the principal
I'm
gets
nodding. I'm
hypnotized
nodding.
and caves in his partner's head.
So well done. Like I know I was like the gore wasn't what I was expecting,
Yeah.
but so well done in that moment, especially because you just hear it.
Yeah.
You hear it before you see what's happening,
Hmm.
and the audience reaction to that was visceral.
Hmm. And
Well
so
done.
he goes, what's amazing though is if we back up before we find out how he ends up getting, are we just going to say hypnotized, entranced, whatever this
Sure.
is, he's under the spell, right? Before we find that out, we're with Julia Garner and we're with Josh Brolin when he's confronting her at the at the gas station. And you just get this shot over her shoulder as he's talking to her, but in the distance, you just see the principal coming in like this. And the whole theater started howling because it's so hilarious. Just watching him run at her is amazing. That whole sequence in the gas station to the point where then he runs after her and gets hit by the car, it's amazing.
It's
How did you
wild.
feel about
I thought it was like mildly unsettling
it?
and
Really
just like,
funny.
oh, he's lost his mind. I think it was
Yeah.
like you're clued into that when people are hypnotized or doing the
Hmm.
run, they're not in their right mind.
Right.
I think that's something they do so well with his characters. That's what they set up. They show you what he's like
Hmm.
professionally. Well, not what you see what he's like professionally,
Hmm.
and then you get a glimpse of that, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh
The
gosh, this is
shirt
something
and the
else.
cardigan and just the whole look
The
was,
the Mickey shirt is
yeah.
like,
See,
oh, it's so good.
when we talk about, and I say this with all my film friends, anybody that I know, even just my non-film friends, just anybody that I talk to about film, is like, I always say that we're missing iconography in movies. And when you say like Star Wars, everything you think of the minute I said Star Wars is iconic. It's a piece of iconography. The poster, the lightsaber, the design of the stormtroopers, the design of Darth Vader's mask, the sound of Darth Vader, the music, the everything about it, Chewbacca, the sound he makes, every sound effect in the movie, everything about Star Wars, including the font, is iconography, right? And then you fast forward to the 2010s and the 2020s, and I'm like, uh, you know, The Lighthouse. Good movie. There's really nothing iconic about it. You say, any Marvel movie. Well, they're already superheroes, so there's nothing new that's brought to it. I mention any other movie that's come out in the last 10, 20 years, and there's not a lot of things that you think of. When I say weapons, you think of The Run, and you think of that guy in the Mickey Mouse shirt. And I guarantee you at Halloween this year, there are going to be people with like a black fright wig and blood on their face and the Mickey Mouse shirt and the cardigan just running around at top speed for trick or treat. And I think it's going to be amazing because that's the first bit of iconography that we've really gotten. It's not like that's the only bit out of the movie, but like that's better than nothing. Like that's
Yeah,
really something.
it
Something
is.
is more than nothing, is what I'm saying.
Something's more than nothing when it comes to making things iconic. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely, absolutely. So the ending of this movie.
Yes.
Tell me
Yes.
what you think. Tell me what you think. I want to hear.
Oh man. So, we're doing different perspectives. And when we finally get to the kid, I forget his name, but like the kid, the one kid who didn't disappear. The minute we got the perspective from him before anything was even given away, you already know as an audience member, like something's up with him, something's up with the house. And the minute that old lady is revealed to have been like the one showing up at the house, the minute she showed up to the house, I went, okay, I already get it. Like she got the parents, she's now got the kid, like he's an accomplice. And I immediately knew, as I'm sure you did, that the kid was how she got all the items from the kids in the class. The problem is there's still 15 to 17 more minutes before we get out of the kid's perspective. And it's like, dude, I already get it. Like, I know what he did. And for me, this is the one part where I started to get bored. I was starting to squirm.
Yeah, the kid's name's Alex.
Thank you, Alex. So the minute you get Alex's perspective, 5 minutes in, and you know everything you need to know about the movie. It answers all the questions. And you know where the kids are, you know how they got there, you know who's responsible, you know he's an accomplice. But you still have like 15 minutes before we get to like back to the main plot. And so I was starting to get kind of that's my biggest beef with the movie, honestly, is just that 15 minutes. The movie shows and doesn't tell, and that's great, except I think the movie underestimated, at least for me and probably yourself, But I'm thinking also for most audiences, I think the movie underestimated the ability for the audience to do 2 plus 2, because the minute you see all that, you're like, I get it. We already established she needs like an item from somebody. How do you think she got him? The kid? Yeah. We don't need to see him do it. We don't need to see the kids come around down the street and go into the house. We know. And we know they're in the basement. We've known this for 30 minutes now. So I wish they would have just shown you Alex's perspective. And then in editing, I wish they would have just shown Aunt whatever. She's probably not his aunt even, but like I wish they would have shown the witch show up at the house. Like you could have just done a shot of like a knock at the door could have opened, it could have been her. And the minute you see that, like you don't really need to know anything else. You can already assume she entranced the parents, got the kid as an accomplice, got the kids in the basement. You don't really need anything else.
I think showing the kids' motivation for
It helps.
being,
Yeah.
I think it, from my perspective watching the movie, and I think from the audience's reaction when he's like cutting, or not cutting the can, but opening the can
Mhm.
and getting better at that, like that really, that helps you build a connection to the kid.
Yeah.
Now, was it more than it needed to be?
I think so.
I don't know. But
I think if anything, and that's a fair point. I think if anything, you could have probably trimmed maybe 10 minutes out of it
yeah,
and
because
just given us an abridged version.
yeah, he's the heart of the climax.
Yeah.
Not Josh Brolin, not Julia Garner.
Hmm.
It's him. He's
Right.
who we're like worried about, at least from my perspective.
Mhm.
Because after you like entrance and kill Alden Ehrenreich, it's like who's next?
Mhm.
Essentially, is kind of where I was at, of like who's next to these people. I sure hope it's not the kid.
Right. Yeah, that's
And
true.
Josh Brolin, but
Mhm.
because he's like another guy helping the teacher,
Mhm.
he might be next. Was kind of the way I was seeing it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a fair point. I think, yeah, like I said, you could either have done without most of it, or you could have at least greatly trimmed it, because I was starting to feel the time. However, once we jump back to the main, like the actual main timeline, and they go into the house, you get one of the best fight scenes, one of the funniest fight scenes ever, because he just starts throwing the guy around. Josh Brolin just like the minute he woke up the first time, I'm like, oh, he's never gonna stay unconscious. And he kept knocking him out and come out, knock him out, come back. And eventually he was just throwing him into furniture.
It's like
It was amazing.
It's when the movie should get scary is when this movie gets funny.
Yes. It got funnier.
And I like it kind of like, yeah, the movie gets funnier towards the it saves all its humor dollars for the end, which is a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
That I don't know how I feel about, because it should be building suspense. You're right. We've spent all this time with Alex, and then it gives us like, what's the right word? Levity, where we're like laughing about him throwing this guy around the room.
Well, you
And
still
you
have
might
the
have
suspense with Alex, because his plot is still happening upstairs. The parents are still trying to kill him, but you keep intercutting and kind of undermining that with all of the laughter.
and the teacher is like dying.
Yeah.
And then it's like Josh Brolin's throwing him over here.
Blam, yeah.
Over here.
Right.
And like
He
it's
just keeps
funny.
coming back.
It's genuinely funny. And it's like at first I was like, is this trying to be funny? And then it happened again. I was like, this is definitely trying to be funny. But aren't we? Isn't this like the scary part of the movie? That's kind of, I don't know. That
I think, from my perspective, there were only two ways you could have played this ending. The way they played it, or you could have played it super serious. The problem is super serious. Now that you know what's going on and the mystery is gone, and again, you're only really connected to the kid and kind of Josh Brolin, but not really the teacher and not the cop and not the junkie for sure. There's kind of minimal amounts of thrills or engagement that you can mine from the audience at this point because of where you're at in the story and what you've established. So I think he made the right choice, as unorthodox as it was, because laughter is still an unexpected thing. And because you've been doing unexpected things the whole movie, now that you're firmly in just this basic thriller climax, which we see in every thriller, where like everybody knows the stakes, they're all going to fight, somebody's going to come out on top. To keep throwing in these things that you don't expect is, I think, what keeps the audience into it.
And then they throw humor in when all the kids go after the witch.
This is the best part.
Which I think I think it's the most divisive part of the movie because
It's
you
my
either
favorite part.
love it or hate it. And
My
I don't
favorite part.
honestly, well, I say that and then I go, well, I don't know how I feel about it. So I guess it's not as black and white as that.
No.
But and it really was, it got a good audience reaction and
Oh
was
yeah.
like, this is working. And then it's like, ew, what the heck is going on? Which, like, to your
Yeah.
point, it's unexpected and then
Hmm.
unexpected.
Right. Well, and what's great is when he does when Alex does the little twig thing and snaps the hair from the witch. This is a thing, and I guess plot holes, as far as plot holes are concerned, this is another thing I kind of started to think while we were still in Alex's timeline, when we were from his point of view, which was, why don't you just kill the witch? Like, you see that her power is what's keeping your parents in this state, so just kill her. And like that, you just push her down the stairs. You don't even need to do like this whole thing. But like, I love that once we finally connected that and the kid does what he should have done a month ago, like snap the thing. And the minute that happened, you hear like that low rumble, and you're like, oh, all the kids are coming up the stairs. And they bust down the door like rhinos. And they start chasing that woman and they bust through all the windows. And they just, it turns into, and I know you haven't seen this movie either, and you will here eventually, Raising Arizona. Because I told my friend this and he started cracking up. There's a moment in Raising Arizona, and this isn't a spoiler, where Nicolas Cage's character is on the run from the cops and a bunch of dogs, and he starts running through people's houses, and the cops and the dogs are chasing after him while like banjo music plays. And the whole time we're chasing this woman and the kids are going after her, I'm looking at dad and he's cracking up. And in my head, I've got the wee, wee. It's like this yodeling banjo from from uh, um, from Raising Arizona. And I just thought that was such a funny thing. And I can't wait for the fan edits of this movie to hit YouTube where somebody takes that soundtrack and underlays it because it'd be amazing. And they bust through somebody's house. And then there's that one shot, my favorite shot in the whole movie, where there's like a guy mowing his lawn in the foreground. And you, in the background between two houses, you see her like running, and you wait like 5 full beats, and then you see the whole crowd of kids going after her, and the guy's just standing there watching. It's amazing. It's comedy gold. And also, the audience is cheering as they're laughing too, because, like, yeah, kill the witch. Except then your eyes are bigger than your stomach because they literally rip her apart in impossible
Yeah.
ways, which is amazing. But still, like, yeah, kill the witch.
It's it's wild. It's a wild way to end the movie. And then
Mhm.
like and then they're like still affected by it. And
Yeah.
the movie almost doesn't give you Josh Brolin's son, which
Hmm.
I like. Like
Hmm.
this whole time, because when he's in the basement at first,
He
he
doesn't
doesn't see
find him.
him.
Hmm.
And so you're really like, he might not be there. And he's
Hmm.
there, but is he?
Right. Well, and the narration tells us, some of them started talking again this year. It's like there's like it's almost like they're recovering from a stroke. It's like it's just however long, a month plus that they were into this trance. And so, but again, and what's funny is my uncle watched this before I did. And I don't know why he went to see it alone because he doesn't like horror movies anymore. It's weird because when he was young, like 80s, 90s, he would watch like really awful stuff. And
When he
even
was
up
in his
till
80s or 90s,
no,
or
in
when
the
it
80s
was
or
the
in
80s.
90s. Yeah, when he was like in his 30s and 40s, back in the 80s and 90s. Even up till about 10 years ago. Like he was the first one that I knew personally to see Human Centipede. And he told us about it, right? Like that's a disgusting movie. Really cheap, really disgusting, right? But in the last 10 years, he's really softened a lot. And he can't take, and he especially doesn't like movies where bad things happen to kids. So I don't know why he watched this movie. And he was interested in seeing it from the trailer. And I told him, well, look, it's kids and it's a horror movie, but if you want to see it, you should go with us because we're going to go see it like on Thursday or whatever. Well, he went to see it like, I think Tuesday night, like before we did, because it was discount day. And it like traumatized him. It was so dark and horrible and depressing and awful and all these things. I'm like, if you watch a horror movie by yourself, it's a horror movie. If you watch it with friends, it's a comedy. You cannot go to see a horror movie by yourself anymore. But I get what he was saying because that it's a downer ending because the kids are kind of messed up and so are the parents. However, I submit for your approval, just as I said, this really isn't all that gory. I'm going to say this is actually a really happy ending as far as a horror movie is concerned. The two main characters didn't die, the main kid didn't die, and they got the kids back. Like I don't know about you, but when this movie started and we see them leave, I thought, well, they're never coming back. I never thought it was an option that the kids were still alive. I just assumed they're gone, they're dead. Now we just got to find out why. like that, because that's all true crime. It's like they're dead. They're definitely not coming back. Just what happened, right? So the fact that we got them back at all is kind of miraculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes along with our, and we've talked about this already, the ending explained culture
Hmm. Right.
is why this isn't like a yippee ending. I don't think it's
Hmm.
trying to be a yippee ending,
No.
but it's not a downer ending. It's
No.
a as abruptly as the story of this movie starts,
Hmm.
it ends.
Right.
Essentially, I mean, there's conflict resolution,
Hmm. And there is
but
an epilogue.
yeah, and there's yes, but there's as unexpected as this kind of like setup of the movie is, it leaves you when the resolution happens,
Hmm.
and I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the ending of this movie. I loved that moment. I love that they ripped her apart. I love that they did the King Kong to the T-Rex thing and like ripped her mouth open, which is like an almost impossible feat. Like I love that the kids became superhuman. That's the other thing. It's
Yeah,
like it doesn't really make any sense, and they just bust down walls, which is also amazing. But I just love it. I love that because again, you had a movie, you're doing unexpected things. There's nowhere else to go but up, so they just did it.
yeah,
I loved it.
great, great movie. So we obviously both liked it.
Hmm. Now we have to give
Um,
it a rating
I have to give it a rating
out of 10 stars. I'll let you
out
go
of 10.
first.
I've thought about it, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna confidently say an 8
An 8. Wow.
because it
Andy.
like it had me enough. Well, I gave The Mummy a 7.5,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And I think this is better than that
Okay.
movie.
See, I wasn't expecting that.
8. I think
8.
this is better than The Mummy. 8.
Wow. I'm shocked. I'm genuinely. I
And
knew
and
you were gonna like it. I didn't expect it to
yeah,
get that
and
big of a
even
rating.
though we're using like the same out of 10, we obviously score differently for
Hmm.
those playing along at home. But it's yeah, an 8. I liked it more and I thought it was I think from the fact it has such a well constructed story
Hmm.
is really what does it. Even if it has the plot holes,
Hmm.
even if it
Even if it
because
gets
that's it.
slow in at the point with Alex, it's slow.
Yeah, even if it gets slow,
Mm.
it's an 8 because and there you have to let the story be the story at
Hmm.
some point. And because again, for all my analogies to be Tolkien related, they could have just taken the eagles to Mordor, right? But
Yeah.
that's not what the story is.
Hmm.
And so neighborhoods could have had Ring doorbell cameras, but they didn't.
Right.
So
Well, and the thing is, though, again, to push back on that, though, even if everyone on that street saw the kids go into the house, the cops came and they searched it, and the kids weren't there. So
yeah,
unless you got some underground tunnels, I don't care what you saw, they're not there anymore, and nobody's talking. So there's nothing they can legally do about it. So I still don't think that's too big of a deal for me
that's
personally. And
fair.
I'm not
That's a
defending
fair
it
point.
because like I want to defend the movie. I just don't think that one for me really makes that much of a difference. But so
That
okay,
is
so
that is
eight,
fair.
8 for Andy. That is a
Yeah.
record shattering. What did you give The Fugitive? Wasn't that
I
like an
don't
8 or a
remember.
9? I think you gave it like an 8 or a 9. In
I'll
fact,
have to
hold
go
on a
back and
second.
listen.
And I have the file right here. Let's
Are
let's
you
let's
gonna
run
are
let's
you
let's
gonna run it back?
let's run the
Run back
tape.
the
Let's
tape?
run the tape back.
Oh no, I'm kind
Episodes
of scared.
raw. Here's where we're talking about.
Um, so for those who don't know, we have a there. If you're just coming around to I almost said the name of the old show. The only problem.
Mhm.
Santino and I recorded a podcast that we never released, and the premise of this podcast is a reoccurring episode type on the old show, but every time, which
Mhm.
is talking about movies that the other one hasn't seen. Um, are
Can
you?
can can you hear this tape?
No,
Okay, good. I don't know if it's recording this, but I'm
I
fast
can't
forwarding
hear it.
to the end of the episode.
Did we record this episode at your parents' house?
Mhm.
That's your parents' house one. I hypothetically, I would really like the Fugitive and Napoleon Dynamite episodes to come out eventually
Uh-huh.
here. Probably just for humor's sake in like an edited form where we
Right.
don't necessarily say the name of the show. And I think
Hmm.
there's
Oh, it
probably
can happen.
banter. Like at 100, we have everything. We own the rights now
We own
after
the
we got
rights
it back
now.
from the network.
Hmm. Let me see. I'm right at the moment where you say, I know you can't hear it, but I just want to see what you say. I'm pretty sure you gave it like a nine. It was either like
Okay.
an eight or a nine. So you mean to tell me? Now, what did you give Napoleon Dynamite?
I don't remember. I
I,
don't remember.
I think it was
I don't
also like an
remember.
eight. So this sits up there with Napoleon Dynamite and The Fugitive, as far as you're concerned, because you just gave this one
I
an
don't.
eight.
I think it's like a rung below. I think it'd be like a C tier move. Well, how do tier lists work? A, B,
It's
C is how
always,
I'm doing
well,
my
it's
tier
usually
list.
S, A,
S.
B, C,
So this is like a B tier.
D, F. This is
B
B.
tier.
Okay.
So maybe like 7.8, but we're not doing
7.8.
points.
Well, you did points the last time you did.
7.5, right? But
I think
that's
so, yeah.
I
That's
think
7.5.
so. Yeah, 7.5,
Well, you don't
7.
have to
I think
revise it. If you
7.8,
like, if you think it's
8.
an
I
eight, it's
think
an
it's an
eight.
8. I think it's
Okay.
a very well done movie.
Yeah. I'm not trying to talk you down from the eight. I'm very intrigued that this is how high you're rating this. That's interesting. I didn't expect it. So if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it, see, I'm going to be more critical. I think I'm going to have to give it a seven, like an even seven. That's like modern
That's
classic.
fair.
That's
Yeah,
like a
that's
solid level. That's a good movie. I think I'd give it a 7 out of 10. So now the question for Andy is, does this have your heart?
I don't think so. I think we're still on a streak of no. I
All
mean, I
right.
thought it was really cool, but like it didn't blow me away the way something that has my heart does.
Right.
Didn't just take me up in its arms, and
Not like Napoleon Dynamite.
not like Napoleon Dynamite, not like The
Not like The
Fugitive,
Fugitive. Right.
not like Nope, not
Right.
like name another movie like No Country for Old Men,
Hmm. Not like the Lego Batman movie, apparently.
not like the I don't know if the Lego Batman movie has my heart.
I know you like it a
It's
lot.
hilarious though.
Hmm.
It's great. Like, don't get me talking about that again. And for yourself,
It does not have my heart, no. But I do like it a lot. It's one of the better horror thriller mysteries that I've seen in recent memory. I would recommend it to a lot of people. However, because of the nature of what it is, because it's a mystery, there's no repeat watchability. It's just like it's a one and done. Just like any thriller, it's a
yeah.
one and done. Thrillers are like the hookers of the film
Wow.
industry. You pay them, and you have a
Wow.
good
Nope.
time, and then they
Nope.
just never come back. Yeah,
Don't.
that was actually, I'm cribbing that from an old joke I used to have about
Nope.
back in
Nope.
the day. Yeah, no,
No.
no, I'm gonna say it about magicians. Is that magicians were like the prostitutes of the entertainment world because like you're like, hey, want to see a magic trick? We're like, yeah. Oh wow, where'd the car go? I don't know. Cool. Get out. Like you don't need any more. Like it's a one and done, you know? There's
Yes.
no other
Hey,
entertainment value. So to all you
words.
magician fans out there,
The
we love
words
you,
of
but you need to go home.
the words of Santino Vitale.
Yeah.
Everyone.
You know where
But
the door is.
and I think part of why I rate this movie so highly is it's
Mhm.
exactly you touched on what part of what I thought about it, which is this is a movie that is 100% on the list of if people say they don't make good movies anymore,
Yeah,
this
let's
is
put
a
it on the
movie I'm
list.
recommending. Yeah, like this is up there. I mean, for one thing, I don't see a lot of movies, but
Yeah.
also like regardless, have you seen Weapons? Will probably be one of the next sentences I say
Mhm.
after if I engage that person who's
Well, I
saying those
think
things. So
it's definitely gotten its traction for sure. I mean, it's going down in history because it's what 140 million, 130. It's what however many over 100 million it's made on a 38 budget. So it's definitely it's one of the cool kids at the party. It's doing real well.
yeah,
So,
and good on it. Good on you, Weapons. You did
yeah,
it.
good going.
You may have not got of our well, you may not have gotten our hearts, but you've gotten our approval and our recommendation.
Yeah, would recommend.
I'm giving a thumbs up.
Thumbs up all around.
Anything else you want to say about Weapons?
Um, the witch was Amy Madigan, and she was She is married to Ed Harris. That's Ed Harris's
Really?
wife. She was in, and I don't know why I didn't recognize. Well, I know why I didn't recognize her, but like I don't know why I didn't recognize the name when I saw it in the credits. But she was in Uncle Buck and like a bunch of stuff from the '80s. So I don't know why. So she's not like that scary looking in real life. They did some stuff to her with makeup to really bring it in.
She makes the movie.
She
The fact
does.
she acts as well as she does is like, this is a creepy old lady.
Yeah.
That works. If that didn't work, movie wouldn't work
Yeah, and
at
she's not
all.
cartoonish either. Like she plays it
No.
just right.
Yeah.
So if you're afraid
She's
of children and old ladies, go see Weapons.
yeah. And work out those fears. Yeah, because I mean, in one way, she's like playing a really weirdly dressed lady
Mhm.
who has a wig. But
Yes,
on
I
the
wouldn't know
other,
anything about that.
but on the other hand, she does like yeah, you're right. She does never gets into like, well, my pretty witch cat.
Cruella de Vil territory.
Yes.
Well, cool. If you like this episode, what do they do?
Share it with a friend. Share it with a friend or post about it. Share
Post
it.
about it.
Get it out there. Like, comment, subscribe. You know those types of things, but really
Yeah.
just share it with a friend. Share it with someone you like to talk about movies with. Do that.
I
That's
dare
it.
you.
I
I
dare you.
double dare
And go
you.
see Weapons if you haven't. Or hey, I meant to text you this earlier. This is the prep we do for the show.
Mhm.
What's next time's episode? Oh gosh, she just got attacked by a cat.
Ow. My cat just yanked out my headphones again. Gosh, he keeps doing that. So did we announce, have we been announcing what's next? Is that what's up?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm
So
gonna put you on the spot.
here's the
So it
question.
would be
Is it your turn?
it's
Is
my
that
turn
what
to
it
watch
is?
something.
Okay,
Yes.
because it was mine, then we both watched something. So it's yours, right? It's your
Yes.
turn. Okay, so I think there's a lot of ways this could go. I could give you comedy, I could give you drama. We just sat through kind of a comedy horror. So I don't feel particularly compelled to give you comedy just yet. And since we'll be getting into the Halloween season here in another month, and I do Halloween from like September all the way through October, I think I'm going to save the next thing I thought. And this time, I'm going to have you watch Prisoners from 2013 with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. It is another missing kids movie, and
What a
it's
theme.
yeah, I think it's the cinematography is Richard Deakins, so you know it's going to be like
I'm
immaculate.
in. I'm in.
And
You've wanted me to watch this movie before, right?
yeah,
This
for
is what
like a
you've
couple
like.
years now. Like I texted you about
I'm,
it after I watched it 3 years ago, I think, and you were like, "Oh, it looks
yeah.
cool," and then you never got around to it. So now, because of the unbreakable rules of the podcast, you must watch.
Awesome. Well, I'll watch that in the meantime. You, the listener, should watch it as well. Uh, hope to see you back here. For those who've made it this far, I hope you know that Santino and I, without planning on it, match for this week's episode. We wore the same like kind of minty green, like
Yeah.
light green t-shirts. So next week, wear your light green t-shirts. Santino this whole time's also been wearing a wig. If you saw my Instagram, my private Instagram story a week ago, Santino's been wearing a wig this whole time. It's been very amusing to see him. And I've just been wearing a white hat. I've been wearing
Mm.
a Cleveland Indians hat.
Well, and Andy, you picked it out too, that the reason I'm wearing the wig is because of the old lady wearing the wig. I just didn't have
Yeah.
one that was, I almost wore my afro because it's purple, but I was like, it's super uncomfortable. And this one's more
That would have
comfortable.
been something. So
Yeah.
share this episode with a friend you like to talk to movies about.
Where you like to talk to their
Peace.
movies about them. However
Yep.
you guys consume movies, consume them. Do more.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.